Hello, everyone. Welcome. Woohoo! We've arrived. My name is Michelle Rockwood, and I am here with the great Laura Wick of BodyMind Coaching. If you know me, my name is Michelle Rockwood. If you don't know me, my name is Michelle Rockwood. I'm a BodyMind certified coach, and I'm also, are you laughing at my joke, Laura? I'm also the co-founder of BodyMind Sales with Laura Wick, where we teach non-salesy, heart-centered coaches how to sell their premium programs with ease. And today we have a really, really great topic of conversation that's really close to our heart. And we're talking about what you get to heal when you embrace sales. And one reason I'm so excited to talk about this, and Laura's going to really lead our conversation on this today, is because, for one, BodyMind Coaching has healed so many parts of my life. And that last part, I think, was sales. And that opened the door for me to heal, help, and support others. What a gift. Hey, Laura.
Hi. What's going on? That was quite an introduction. Hi, I see everybody jumping on too. So as you come on, please say hello. Let us know where you're joining us from. I always love, if you could tap the heart button, it lets me know that sound is coming through. This is a topic that is very close to my heart. And especially because I have to say that sales has been a healing opportunity for myself. And I'm just curious, I know we've been popping in here live talking about sales, but just to, I find it so interesting that heart-centered people, coaches, practitioners who you don't get into this work just because, hi Kim, you don't get into this work just because it's like a hobby. You get into this work because it genuinely is about serving and supporting other people. And I know for me, I come from the massage world, I come from the coaching world. Neither one taught me anything about sales. Yeah. And there was always this underlying feeling that selling and receiving money was taking from people. And so if I was going to help others, if I was going to be of service, selling always felt the opposite of what I was doing as a practitioner. Hi. Oh my goodness. Somebody's on their way to Columbus. That has to be Melissa or Fidel. Hi, Lori. So I'm just kind of curious how, and I know we have some BodyMind coaches here as well. How do you feel about sales as you're listening to this? Because I think there's this assumption that sales is separate from what you do.
And when you talk about, when you ask people, how do you feel about sales? And sometimes we have some surface level answers, right? You might say, oh, I feel a little yucky or icky, or it feels manipulative. Mm-hmm. But what we're suggesting and what we know is that it actually goes deeper than those surface level feelings, right? Yeah. It's about personal value and personal wealth and what it means to exchange goods and services this way. And it goes, it gets a little raw because it also gets into our money story, right? What are we allowed to spend? What are we allowed to receive? And that's really raw because that gets into family and our upbringing.
I feel like we might both cry on this conversation today because it's really if you go deeper, as Michelle's talking about, sales brings you to this place where you have to face, who do you have to be good enough to receive for who you are? Because the thing about coaching, the thing about holistic practices and services, even if you're a copywriter or you provide a service, you are selling, in a sense, you. And that transaction, we know when we've been here talking about how when somebody says yes to working with you, they're choosing themselves, they're choosing their transformation. That transaction is about them activating their goals, their dreams, and making them real. But for you to be the person to make the offer, to receive the money, and to step up, you have to do so much inner work to get to that point.
It's it's really, really vulnerable. And what you said there, Laura, is you have to do so much inner work to get to that point. So we've had all this training, right? We've done our 100 hours of coaching. You know, we really feel solid in what we do. We've learned how to sell, but then we haven't done that inner work, that underneath, to really, oh, I'm going to feel so scared and so sad if somebody says no and it's all about me. And that's the real work that we get to do and the real healing journey of sales.
I'm having this awareness that I think people think the biggest fear of a sales conversation is that the person's going to say no. I actually think for heart-centered practitioners, the biggest fear of a sales conversation is the person's going to say yes.
It's so true. It's so, so true. Ooh, it's just so true. I have this conversation all the time. What if they say yes? Oh my gosh.
Well, and this, go ahead. Can I share?
Okay, go.
So I'm curious if anybody else feels that way, because here's the other thing is and we see this all the time with our body mind coaches. There are so many healing opportunities in this, in that coming from the bodywork space, you trade time for money, right? So when you start selling premium programs for $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, right? There's a healing of your inner worth that happens there. But I have done this myself, and my team, as you guys listen to this, you're going to be like, oh, duh, this makes total sense. I have sold something that has felt so easy and light, and then on the flip side, gone and made shit more complicated because I didn't feel like I was worth it. I have created more work for myself, right? So there's a healing of, like, again, who do you have to be enough to receive for who you are? That is the story that shows up when people are selling.
Absolutely, Laura. And I love that you touched upon, it's not just the no, right? That's almost like, phew, all right, I didn't have to do the thing, right? Great, I'm out of here. But there's that yes. And I remember, like, I can vividly remember, like, being in my office and receiving thousands of dollars for my coaching for the very first time, and voxing Laura and being like, am I going to get arrested? Like, is this legal? Is it okay for me to charge for my services? You know, and then people get results and you're like, I actually need to charge more, like way more, you know, and you start, and then you just get this entire mind, you know, this entire shift. But that conditioning, the time for money, you know, time is money. I was in the Peace Corps in West Africa, and we would walk down the streets and they'd say, time is money. That was like the one American statement that they knew. This is so funny. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like, absolutely. It is such a healing journey to really understand, own your value, not share that time for money.
Yeah. And as I'm saying this, so I think, so one, there's a healing opportunity of you valuing yourself. And I think another opportunity is there's a lot of healing of, like, your voice, your message. This is kind of coming up to me, and I'll just share this, because one of the things, again, I hear this all the time, is I didn't get into this work for the money. I'm here to help people. I think there is so one of my beliefs of why we created Body Mind Living, we are here to cultivate embodied leaders. I fully believe that heart-centered practitioners, coaches, service providers, people who are here to make a positive difference in the world, I fully believe that we are being called to step up and be leaders. I envision us on the school board, you know, involved in, like, city council, running for office, like, stepping up in the world. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes is, know the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. There is this thing that we have been told, especially because we're empathetic, we tend to be women, we have been fed this story that money is evil. And that if somehow we receive for our work financially, that somehow it's, like, bad or wrong. Yet, ironically, those people, that patriarchal, crazy bullshit, stays in power, keeps making the rules, all the stuff. Is this resonating? I feel like I'm going out on a limb here. You're going to get like fired up, Laura. So for those of you who are like, I'm not in it for the money, I'm here to help people. Great. I want to help make you a millionaire. Because imagine what you would do with all that money. Imagine how many people you would serve. Imagine one of the things I love paying my team. I love working with people and like, imagine how much good you are going to do because you allow yourself to receive. I am done with the story that like we can't make money and be of service, that those two are mutually exclusive. It's a bullshit story that keeps us stuck and in a loop of servitude and not service.
Yes, 100%. I am with you, Laura. Yes, yes, and yes. It's on this like very, that's like an even bigger level. And it's also just like this simple relationship with money. And we have gone our entire life living so intimately. It's the most intimate relationship we have. And we've never looked down at that money and said, how are we thinking about you? How are we speaking about you? How are we treating you? Right? And so often you're blaming money. You don't want to go on a trip with your friends. I can't afford it, right? You don't want to buy a new car and your spouse does. We can't afford it, right? You're blaming and putting this weight on money instead of thinking about all the joy it brings you. Money allows me to send my kids to private school, right? Money allows me to give to charity. Money allows me, I love when people put those Facebook, they have a friend in need. I'm like, yes, money allows me to say yes, to say yes, to say yes. Mm-hmm. And the way money works, it needs to be exchanged, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a piece of paper. And so it's this energetic exchange, right? It used to be rocks, it used to be cows, right? Or it still is cows in many places, and it's just this exchange, it's not something that was done to you or a childhood, it's just a piece of paper. It's just mm-hmm. love it.
Well, and it's, I fully believe that money is an amplifier.
Oh, hell yeah.
That it, you exchange $100 and that person receives like 10 times more of what they invested, then you go and invest and it amplifies you. It is very much an amplifier. I want to acknowledge that we are both white cisgendered women with, we have a lot of privilege in our lives.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there's so much I could say around that. And it's, I just know that like, if somebody's like, here's how I feel about money, here's what I feel about myself. Can I share a story that's
go for it.
It's a little bit more personal. We've been going through a lot of growth edge and I will, for those, like the challenges that I faced when it was just me, working as a massage therapist, doing 80 hours of massage a month, like barely scraping by. And now having a company with employees, like there are still a lot of similar challenges that show up around money. And I'm constantly having to come back to my money story. And one of the things that I realized was that, the phrase, like you're a slave to money and then you die, right? Right. So I was like very much in this cycle of like, things are stretching, things are shifting, feeling that energy. And then I was like, no, I'm going to master money. I'm going to make money my bitch. And I was like, wait a second. If money is an energy, right? I don't want to sit here and feel like money is making me its bitch. Why would I ever turn to money and say, I'm going to make you my bitch? Because then the energy of money doesn't want to play with that. Right. And so I've been, one of the things I've been journaling on is, how can I have a partnership with money?
I like that.
Right? Like where I'm here to serve and do good and also be a steward and be a partner with money. I don't know if that resonates at all, but like that's one of the things that I've been personally looking at for myself, because again, these money stories continue to show up. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. How can I be a partner with money? Mm-hmm. And that feels fantastic. because then I'm not trying to pull it towards me. I'm not trying to push it away, right? We're just in a partnership together. Yeah.
Yeah. And I even actually, if you really want to know, I journaled on what my responsibilities are and what money's responsibilities are. Like, isn't that fun?
Yeah. I was like, can we read it? And is the journal available? So what are the responsibilities of, can you share just a little bit? Like what did
feel very vulnerable. So for me, it was to, operate and be in my highest self, to serve and support clients, to be an embodied leader, to be a good steward, to use the resources that I have to help other people. For me, really big right now, there's a lot of social justice stuff. So that's been doing what I can in regards to that. And again, there's layers upon layers of, I'm just beginning that journey. So it was like, show up, serve my clients, be the best leader I can be with my team, provide opportunities to people who are amazing.
And what's money's role?
Oh, and also I realized that I had to put on there that part of my role was to enjoy money, to let joy flow in, to appreciate it, to share it, because I think sometimes like I was raised in a home where it's like you save it, and like so having joy around it has been having joy with money is a very vulnerable experience with me, I gotta say. Like I have a very hard time doing that. I heard somebody's going to Hawaii for her birthday to celebrate like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could give that to myself.
I completely know what you mean. And my husband's very similar. I was on the other spectrum where like, you spent all that you had. And if you had extra, like, what were you doing with it? It was like, I don't understand. Like, why would you save money? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're not really living,
Right. Yeah.
But you talked about something there you mentioned, and I want to know, I don't want you to go on before you tell us what money's job is.
I will.
But one thing you said there, and that has really changed for me, and you've taught me, Laura, is giving purpose to your money.
Yes.
And that has really shifted. We used to budget in my family, and now we profit plan. And we talk about the purpose that our money has, and how it's working with us, right? Not against us, and that's really shifted. So I love that. Why do you want to make money? And yes, it's of course pay the bills. And then what's next?
Well, and I'll riff on this and go into that. So I think this idea, like there's money is a healing opportunity. And so to have a sale and ask for that exchange of money is a very vulnerable act for heart-centered coaches and practitioners. It is going to bring these things up, and it's going to bring it up whether you're just getting started and looking to make that first $1,000 sale. It's also going to show up when you have a team of people and all of a sudden you have to make 6 figures a month to cover your expenses. It still shows up. So I just want to say this is an ongoing journey. And to me, this is like the part that I find really, like, I love the growth of this. I love, I feel my neural pathways expanding with every step. So for me, the responsibility for money was to activate and bring in aligned, amazing clients who are ready to say yes. Money's job is to provide, to show up and provide what I need in my life to be the highest, best version of myself. Money's role is to, I'm still working on this. And we'll just go there. Money's role is, and money's responsibilities. For me, money's role is just to remind me that we live in an abundant universe. Like the energy of money, yes, you can see it in exchange, you can see it in your bank account, but you can also like be present in the moment. Like I drink my coffee, I sit outside, I journal, and I can feel that energy, that presence of money around me. Like is this making sense? Like no, money's job is to show me that like the there's so much for all of us. Like it's this reminder. Amber Duggar says that money is a renewable resource, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, just there's there's a lot in that. I'm curious what you're hearing.
Well, what was coming up for me is I'm like thinking, okay, people are listening, they're rolling their eyes and they're like, look, I am just trying to pay the freaking bills. Like, will you two idiots shut up? Right. And so what I want, we truly have been there. And what I want to invite you to do is, even if you're paying the bills, right? I'm planning, like, right, we started profit planning without extra, right? So I want to invite you to stretch and think a little bit differently. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to sit there with that cup of coffee and go, what is the purpose to my money? Even if you don't have a penny extra, even if you're $500 negative this month, when I get to receive for all that I do, what is that money going to do for me? What is it going to bring for me? Mm-hmm. And I just want to invite you to sit in that and don't try to control again or do anything, but just try to sit in that and see what comes up. Because that is the healing, that is the shift that that BodyMind coaching has done for me, that has allowed me to even dream outside of my little money world, my little world that I think is possible, right? Where it's just paying the bills, getting through the day, doing the thing. You know, you've allowed me to go, oh, what about that?
Yeah. There's something that's showing up for me. It's a little off tangent, but I was listening to a podcast this week, and this guy was talking about the mythology of the hard work, mythology of hard work.
Okay.
And I think that is also a really deep, there's a lot of healing potential for all of us. And I so appreciate what you said, Michelle, because there's, wherever you are in the journey, wherever you are in this process, like, you have value right now. And there's often a story underneath of it of who you have to be, how hard you work, how hard you have to work, what you have to do to earn that exchange. And I think when you start to recognize that you are enough as you are and you are worthy of receiving now, right? And one of the things that we love to do is help you just give a little structure around your brilliance so that you can receive for it, right? One thing that I heard once is that you don't necessarily need a job, you need an income. It's a totally different thing. And when you recognize your value of who you are and what you have to give now, you have access to that cash flow coming in. So I want to get back to this story, the mythology of working hard, as I hit my desk, because we have this story, especially for those of you in the US, that in order to receive, you have to work hard. Right? And if you don't work hard, you don't receive. That's the story that we tell ourselves. And what happens is it keeps people in this loop of constantly having to prove that they're good enough. This shows up on sales conversations where people will throw bunches and bunches of stuff in their offer to prove that they're good enough. So there's this, like, you have to proving energy that you have to work hard and constantly be putting stuff out and go faster and blah, blah, blah. And then what happens is, if for some reason the thing that you don't desire doesn't show up, you tell yourself that something is wrong with you. Or maybe you look at somebody in a different part of town or somebody in a different culture who hasn't reached a certain level of success, and you make a judgment that somehow they haven't worked hard enough, even though they're a single mother working 3 jobs trying to just stay afloat, with 3 kids, right? So we have this, like, story rooted in our neurophysiology that says, work hard, make money. And if you don't have the results of the money, you haven't worked hard enough. And it's just, we have to start calling bullshit on that story. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it makes total sense. It's all also in the opposite as well. So when you do start to make money, right, and you start to get paid for what you do, and we do this all the time, right, in BodyMind coaching, we start going, oh, is it okay to receive for this? Let me add on more. Let me make sure that I feel like I'm working my butt off, that I'm showing up all the time, right? Even though this client is perfectly fine over here, right? Yeah. They're just fine, like, leave me alone, I'm good. And we're like, you start giving more because you want to prove to your value, and those old ways of thinking seep back in, and they continue to seep back in.
I'm realizing my role is to be my authentic self, and money's responsibility is to just show up and provide for me to be able to do that.
Ooh,
like if I were to boil it down to those two things, and yeah, I mean, I think there are so many layers to this. Like I want to acknowledge that we know that there are systems in place that don't make these things fair for marginalized communities. And I think that's very much the work of our time right now as heart-centered people. And also, we have to be willing to receive money to change those things too.
Absolutely. So what do you get to receive when you embrace your relationship with sales? What do you get to receive when you do the work that you've done in your coaching, the work that you've done in your personal healing journey, right? Needs to apply to the sales process. There's some healing, there's some inner work, there's some reaching back, we don't have to spend too much time, but it is such a beautiful thing to do, to even spend a weekend or an hour or a little bit of your time healing this space around money and around sales, because then you get to heal others. And that was the really big thing for me, is when Laura helped me heal this relationship with sales, the doors opened. And the ripple effect, the wave of my work was able to just rush through the gates. And so what are you holding on to? What genius, what beauty, when you open up that gate, can the flood of water come through and just heal the world, right? I mean, such beautiful work, amazing work we do. And it's such an honor to be able to, through BodyMind Sales, through our work, support you around that process.
I love that. And I just think about what would be possible in the world if heart-centered practitioners received. I hope you guys feel the possibility of healing as we embrace sales.
Absolutely.
Like it is so big. So thank you. You said that you said that I should have shut up. That was beautiful, Michelle.
No, perfect. This was a really great conversation. And please put in the comments if you have any questions, if there's anything you took away from this, if there's anything you want to tell us. We take all feedback. And we want you to know we have a training coming up just for you around this very thing. How do we get to heal our relationship with sales? And now what's the next step, right? How do we step into that beautiful sales conversation that allows that gate to open, the water to flood through? On May 10th, 11th, and 12th, we have a training that is live, and we invite you to join us.
Yes, let me put it in the comments.
Laura's going to put the link below. Sign up. It's going to be amazing. Laura and I have been working our booties off to just make it so perfect and such a rich experience for you. So sign up. We're going to teach you how our clients, after they've done this work, right? After they've done this work, how they sell their premium coaching programs in 45 minutes. Without that ick, without that yuck, without that baggage, right? That weight off your shoulders, just that opening of the gates and allowing yourself to receive and live in abundance.
I just dream about collectively how we can truly make a difference in the world when we embrace sales. So join us. BodyMindSales.com/webinar is where you can go to sign up for that training. We're offering it multiple times, so you should find a time that works for you. There is so much in this energy. We thank you so much for being here with us. We can't wait to see you then. And have a beautiful day. Thanks.